Here's something to keep an eye out. I went and bought this bike because it had this pretty cool Sagino crank on it. Single speed wheels. It's cheap. But here's a problem. Look at that ring. How close it gets and how far it gets. If I come in here, it really looks like I'm looking at the back side of the chainring bolt now. How close it gets to the frame. See, some are like 2-3 millimeters. Some are like 4 or 5. So the whole crank itself is wrecked. When I did a bottom bracket test, trying to wiggle the crank back and forth, this side had play and this side didn't. So I think this crank was loose. I think this bike might have gotten hit by a car, or dropped hard, or wrecked hard. So I think maybe the spider's warped, but maybe the whole crank is warped. The whole thing could be bent. I've definitely had a crank like that before that bent. When you ride, you can feel the pedal because the pedal's out of plane. So as it goes around, it's kind of making this motion, so you can feel it under your shoe. You'll know a crank is bent. I did not get a chance to ride this bike because I bought it in parts and pieces and flat tires. But I don't think I'm going to be able to save this crank, and I'm pretty sad about it. And I wanted to make a little video showing that. So what I'm doing is using this lower Sharpie line on the screwdriver to check the outer edge. And it's all the same, you can just barely see it. I'm using the upper line to check this upper edge. To get something that's the same on all of them to measure off of. And I'm basically hiding it, you can barely see it. So there's one that we already know is high. This corner is real high. It's the same up here, so I don't think the whole arm is bent. I think it's just this tab that drills the chainring bolt. I think just it is tweaked up a little bit, causing the whole ring to warp because it's warped here, and because of this warp here being pulled up, it was a little high here, a little high here, and real low here and here, which I think was normal. So I think if we bend this down, which I marked this little H, I think if we bend this down back to flush, like these guys are flat, this one's sticking way up. If we just barely bend it, mostly in this corner, but all of it, till it's parallel again with the rest, I think we might be able to save this crank. I think it'll hold the ring on straight. So I'll bend it, we'll bolt a ring on, we'll press it onto a bike, and see if it looks like it spins real straight. I still don't know what caused that bend, so maybe the whole crank's bent. There's definitely a little loose on the taper, so I think it took some sort of hit. But the frame's square and fine. The tapers aren't rounded out or blown out, so it wasn't ridden on like that. Maybe that's, somebody's pedal stuck in his crank and bent it slightly or knocked it loose or who knows what, but I don't think it's wrecked. So we'll give it a shot. So I just clamped it in the vise. That kind of helped it straighten a little bit, and I just pulled it gently until it looks straight to my eye and moved a few degrees. So now we're double check. Not perfect, but real close. We can fine tune the ring once it's bolted on too and bend it slightly to help make up for it. So pressing down right here, because it'll really change if you don't. Pressing down, hoping that's a pretty squarely machined off little area. And double checking this, you can just barely see that first line sticking up over the cranks. So this is the one we just bent. Oh, you can just barely see that line sticking up. Let's try it from this side. Well, before it was totally hidden, so it was definitely up a couple degrees. Now it looks just like that one next to it. Yeah, barely see it. Barely see it. But now they're all the same. Did that solve that huge? I mean, it looked like it was off by 4, 5, 6 millimeters. It was only up a few degrees, but that's the trick with things that are bent, is being a degree off here, but it's off. So as you get farther and farther and farther and farther out, it'll get more and more and more off. Cars are that way, car frames, bike frames, anything. It doesn't take much to make something off real bad. If we go 6 inches or 8 feet, it can be off by feet. So now I'm going to try bolting a couple rings on. The one that came on it, see what it looks like, and another one I've sitting around and see what it looks like. So here is the Sagino ring that came off of it. And it almost acts like it'll move a little bit. Now here is another 130 ring I have sitting around off some different cranks. And it acts like it might move a little bit too. But they both look pretty dang flat, especially at the bolt holes. Let's try this other ring first instead. Make another line real low. Pressing down flat. And this line, you can see the whole thing, but just barely. There's like barely any silver showing. So I come around to tooth right in front of every ring. Same. Same. Keep turning the screwdriver. Same. And this one that we bent, instead of being high now, looks like it almost might be a 0.5 millimeter low now. They're all insanely close. This ring will probably run real straight, and like I said, we can take a adjustable wrench and put it on here, or a chainring straightening tool, and just do it like you would a disc rotor. Just do some light truing of the ring. So now I have the Sagino ring back on, this 48 tooth that came with this. I'm going to do the same thing with it. Oh, yeah, perfect. So the entire Sharpie mark shows no silver. Entire Sharpie mark with no to maybe 1 millimeter of silver. Same thing. Same thing. It measures the same even at this ring. Oh, this one does measure a little bit low. So the one we bent back, we might have bent. You can almost see the gap in it too. I don't think it's enough. It's really going to matter. It'll be noticeable. But spinning, you won't see it be able to run out more than 1 mil or 2, which is pretty normal for any ring anymore, really. I guess I need to put a bottom bracket in and press these cranks onto a bike and spin it. Now, even though I should be prepping from cleaning for the swap meet, I can't help myself. I want to press these cranks on and see if they're bent. So I'm going to clean it up real quick while everything's apart, like I should have done already. Okay, cleaned, greased. I'm going to use this Shimano bottom bracket that came off these cranks, off the donor bike, because I did a little wiggle test and it tested totally fine and cool. I couldn't feel any play in it, so it's probably fine. You're not supposed to grease these plastic cups, and this cup was definitely greased. But it looks fine. Wipe it off a little bit. Especially the plastic ones, you like to start them. Really, any sealed cartridge, you like to start that one and get it in several threads, make sure it's going straight, make sure everything's cool. Then we'll come start this one. I do want to clean it some more too, though. It wasn't sitting on there perfectly tight. It's definitely got a little corrosion and some old dry grease on these tapers. I have never sanded a taper on a bottom bracket before, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Let's make sure this thing doesn't have any debris and burrs and stuff to cause problems. It doesn't seem like it does. Now the drive side is reverse threaded, so we're going to go, instead of righty-tighty, we're going to go lefty-loosey, but sometimes I like to go righty-tighty first, try and find the threads So on lefty tighty, so I twisted till the threads caught, so they're sort of bouncing around, and then started coming back the right way. This way I can also wiggle the other side and make sure it's not jangling way down, because these threads are so tiny and so fine, you can absolutely put a bottom bracket in crooked and screw it down and just destroy it. Sometimes I even look from this side to make sure the spindle is sort of centered on that hole. It looks like it's going in straight. Take some of this excess grease off, and I'm going to lightly grease these spindles. People argue about whether you should or shouldn't. I don't know, but I know most bottom brackets come from the factory with a very light coating. So wipe it all around, get some of the crank bolt thread holes, and then I will mostly wipe it off when we're done. I'm going to get it most of the way tight. There's still lots of turns. I'm going to do the other side as well. Got it almost all the way on there. Gonna finish the drive side. This is the important one. This is the fixed cup. That's an adjustable cup. This is where all the cranking force goes. This one needs to be scary, scary tight. And it was definitely loose with the other frame. As tight as it's going to get. Now I'll cinch the other side up. Now these plastic cups are old and dumb. If you ever buy a bottom bracket at Shimano, you should always dig through and see if they have the same length you need with a metal cup. Sometimes they come metal, sometimes they come plastic. These plastic ones will crack if you over tighten them. But I still want it tight. If they crack, then your bottom bracket will always creak. And it's $20 to buy a replacement metal cup, or they just come for free on them sometimes. Just cinching. It's getting real tight. I feel like that's real tight without being crazy hammer mechanic and breaking and cracking it. So with any luck, we didn't. And it's cool. I'm going to wipe off most of this grease. Hopefully it's leaving a little film on there. Wipe off the extra from the external threads. From the internal threads poking out all around the cup. See what it looks like. Ooh. So that is too close. It is already hitting the frame. Then we have the chainring on the inside, the way it came on the other bike. I'm going to have to move this chainring to the outside. And that's cool because it looks dorky on the inside anyways. It looks way better on the outside. Makes it look like a track crank. Makes it real cool. Way more fixed gear, bro, for your conversion. Can make your conversion way more legit. You can be so legit. Okay, so I got the chainring moved to the outside. And press this dude on. It fits so tight, it looks like it might not even be able to press on. Maybe that was the problem. It was bottoming out on the bottom bracket before it could press on. And totally ridiculous. So I couldn't get tight. It's a 110 Shimano, which is pretty common for using with old vintage cranks to make a single speed. But these are kind of newer Sagino cranks, so I don't know. Press on. Press on. Even at first glance, spinning it around, I can tell the ring's still moving a little bit. But it does look like what I thought. It looks like it's down a little bit in one spot. It's a little wavies, but not like it was before. And it's a 1/4 inch from hitting that frame, where before it was like a 1/4 inch out plus hitting the frame. Now this is only moving around 2 or 3 millimeters. So I might take this sweet vintage Bicycle Research chainring straightening tool, 3/32 1/8 inch. But you can use an adjustable pliers or adjustable wrench or whatever you want. And spin this around, find the lowest spot. I feel like the lowest spot is right around here. And I might just give it some tweak outs. kind of like drilling a wheel, just trying to get rid of the low spot. Low, low, low. Now it's pretty true, it's within like a millimeter. And for single speeds, you want 42.5 millimeters of chain lines. From the center of the tube to this ring, what you really want is 42.5 or so millimeters. I'm trying to center it right about on the center of this tube. And it's not quite right. We're at about 45 or 6. So really this has a 110 bottom bracket. It probably really needs one with a slightly shorter jut. And if you remember us talking about jut, it's not the overall length of the bottom bracket, it's just how much the drive side sticks out. So this might need a 108 or a 103 to really get it any closer. And I don't think I have that care, and it's so close. And it's not a fixed gear, and it's not a track bike, and it's 3/32 ring. I think it's probably fine. And I'll show that jut chart to show the Shimano cartridge bottom brackets. Most of the shorter ones have the same jut anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But a shorter jut would be better. So here you can see the jut. It's pressed right up in there. But you can see the gap over here, so that's a nice big gap, so it really could go on a few millimeters. Tons of clearance in here for the inside of the ring. As you see, I spin it, you can watch that gap change down here. So you can see it just barely moves. Like a millimeter or two, maybe, which is fine, but before it was like more than a centimeter. So it would have even been hitting this frame from that little tiny bent little mounting surface. But this is pretty cool. We are going to have to test ride this bike to make sure these cranks aren't bent anywhere else, because a bent crank will make your pedal feel like it's going like this into your foot while you pedal. But I like it. I got a silver seat post we can fit in the old Bridgestone. We got the silver stem. I got some silver bars. Got the silver headset, and those 27-inch single speed wheels are silver. So it'll look kind of cool. Maybe I'll pop them in just for a shot. So here's a shot of the Bridgestone with these very nice Originate silver single speed hubs to these silver M13-2s with the silver cranks and all silver parts. I think it'll look really nice. It's a classic, single speedy fixed gear thing. I'm going to try and build it this way, so no to the black stem and pursuit bars. I would love to leave these gum wall tires on, but they're mismatched. 1 inch, an inch and an eighth, and I don't like it. 27, because these are 27-inch single-speed modern wheels for reasons. They fit real tight. God, this 1 inch fits way better than that inch and an eighth. It is so tight. It's going to need old school crappy brakes to clear. So I do have this one nice set of barely used all black flak jacket, transport, puncture protection, whatever, 27-inch road tires. I think I'll use them because they match, and I paid a little bit of money for these for a different project and then didn't use it. Unless at the swap meet I can find a really nice shaped pan racer Pasela in matching sizes, either inch and a quarter, or 2 inch and an eighths would be great. There's these guys, which are both inch and a quarter, so they'll fit real big too, but they look real skinny. I think they'll fit a lot smaller than this Pasela, honestly. Anyway, I love gum walls. I think that'll look better, and this will be cool for a vintage touring bike or something else I'll build soon, I'm sure. Ooh, let's put those little riser bars in, though. This is hella fixie, bro. So 2007. Ah. Yeah, look at that. Little riser. We'll do the same thing with the C-post, put a modern silver one in, and maybe polish the stem a little bit, or find a modern silver one that sort of matches these bars and the cranks and the wheels better. And maybe do a slightly more vintagey saddle. Keep the neo-retro thing really going. I'll definitely do brakes front and rear. I definitely have some levers already picked out for what I like. So, pretty dope, man. Let's put this other crank on too for matcher's sake. I got these nice old kind of no logo, no brand generic mountain levers. They're half silver, half black. I figured they'd be kind of good for a neo-retro build. They're all adjustable and cool too. They bring the cables to that style that brings the cables in instead of out to make much nice, tighter little cable loops. Which will be bitching for a bike like this, because this bike really deserves a little front basket for hauling stuff, because make it more messengery. Or maybe a small front rack if I find something big and tortury, like a Velo Orange or something cool for cheap this swap meet. That's hard. Usually racks are so crappy, and people want so much money for them used, like almost as much as new, if not as much as new. But look at this bike is halfway built. Dope! Single speedy. And another thing to mention is this bike is 126 spaced and this hub is 120. We gotta decide if we want to cold set the frame or if we just want to add a couple spacers to the hub, which there's definitely room for. I think I'll do that because I've never done a video on that, which will be cool. And we'll have to mess with the frame in case we want to switch it to a road bike later. So I do have that nice silver 700C road wheel set now. It would also look awesome on this bike, and it'd be cool to do a one-by. Just leave this chainring on and one by it. Who knows? Who cares? And we'll see what the future brings as we plan it out and party on this bike. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at the swap meet. If you watch this video months or years or weeks from now, I hope I'll see you at the next swap meet. Alright, bye.